1932, we had one of those Bonnie and Clyde bank robberies. They said there's bullet holes still in the wall of the warm print to prove that it happened. And of course, those people were never caught. I hope some of you get a chance to stay for this coming week. We have parades that are very nice. The first one is on Wednesday, and Wednesday is called the Street Scrubbing Parade. And what we have is a man dressed up in his Dutch costumes declaring the streets dirty. And so then behind him will be all kinds of women and children and people with their dogs dressed up like in a Dutch costume. And they're scrubbing the streets. They'll have water hydrants open, and people will be throwing buckets of water down, and the people with their push brooms will be pushing the water along and cleaning the streets. And anyone who has a Dutch costume can be in that parade. And so there's hundreds of people walking. It's a lot of fun. And after that come the bands and all the other special things that are part of the parade. Thursday there's another parade, and it's called the Children's Parade because it's children. All the children in the schools around here, and there are 7,000 grade school kids from grades 1 through 5, all have their Dutch costumes on, and they come marching. It's well organized by the different schools. Each school represents some part of the Netherlands. It might be they'll be carrying windmills and spinning their own little windmill, or they might be featuring the food that's a Dutch food, like the cheeses and the things called pig in the blankets. Have you heard of those? Yeah. And so every school has different things that they're featuring that are Dutch culture. So those are great. That's a great parade. And then there's not a parade on Friday because kids love to do that parade. I was a teacher for many years, and I walked in that parade a lot. And you'll see I have one of my wooden shoes here, but I didn't wear it today because they're not comfortable. So I just thought I'd bring it along and let you see it. But the parade, if there should happen to be rain on Thursday, we don't want the kids to be disappointed. And so then the parade that would have been Thursday becomes Friday's parade. And then Saturday there's the big one called the Parade of Bands. Now, I don't know if you noticed, there is graduation today at Hope College, and you saw people with their gowns on. Well, their dormitories now are emptied out. They were emptying them out Friday, and it was a madhouse over by Hope College, everybody carrying their suitcases to their car to empty out. And well, those dormitories will be filled with high school kids because bands from all over the area, whether it's other states and far away, they come for our parade of bands on Saturday. And the kids stay in the dormitory of Hope College. And so that is a parade of bands.
Are they all high school bands?
They're all high school bands, yeah. And they even have competitions, because some of these high school kids do these formations at football game times. So they do that, and they have a competition with that too. Our band wears wooden shoes. And of course, the song they always play is Tiptoe Through the Tulips. So that's a fun time to watch that. So I hope you'll be able to stay long enough to see one of those. Now today, I noticed if you have a schedule, you will see some Dutch dancing. This is, in my opinion, the highlight of Tulip time. The high school girls learn how to Dutch dance starting in about January or February, and they have to go to school early 3 times a week to have practice. And then they all have to buy their own costume, and my granddaughter just had a new one made, and it cost her over $200, so they're not cheap, but they're supposed to be authentic. I'll pass around a picture of the different styles of costumes that are supposed to be representing the different provinces of the Netherlands. And so if you can get a chance, look on your program to see Dutch dancing happen. It's really a fun thing to watch. I'll give you a little history of our town. In 1847, a pastor named Reverend Albertus van Raalte was in the Netherlands, and he no longer agreed with the religion of the state in the Netherlands. It was a state-run church, and you had to belong to that church in order to get a job. And of course, there was a lot of suffering at that time. The same time as the potato famine in Ireland, there was a lot of suffering around Europe. And so Reverend van Raalte chose to come to America. And he had about 60 people that came with him. They came on a schooner. They didn't know exactly where they were going to land. They had thought Wisconsin, but as they came this way on the Erie Canal and through some of the Great Lakes, he came to an area near here where he was advised to go right here. And he looked it over. He saw there was water here, and we'll see that in a minute. And he decided this would be something Dutch people could do, even though it was there was a lot of trees. They had to fell a lot of trees. Trees were burning constantly because they had to clear the land for making fields. There was actually an Indian settlement here too, and even though they had a little challenge at first, they were amiable. The Indians even helped them to make their shelters and so on. The first winter, many people died because they just didn't know how to cope with the winter here or having an inadequate place to live. And so in the spring, the first thing they built was an orphanage. But they ended up, everyone absorbing the little children that were orphans, and that became their first school. Reverend Van Walty was interested in education and in promoting business, and also he was the town realtor because his wife had inherited $3,000. That's a lot of money back then. In fact, when he came here, he could buy the land around here for $1 an acre. So he could sell the land to the people that were coming, and within just a few years, there were 1,700 people here. So he sold a lot of his property to the people that were arriving. Look over here to my side of the bus, and you'll see a big building. It's our old power plant. It's no longer in operation. It was a coal-fired plant, and not very efficient, and as well as being polluting. And so, as we get to the end of the tour, you will see the new one, which is twice as efficient and can handle 4 times as much power that we need at this point. But we're a very booming economy right here, and so we're going to be using all that power or selling it to communities that could use it. This is an area, a recycling man named Louis Padnos came here many years ago, and this is the 3rd generation. Look at all the scrap iron that you see. Now, all the sculptures were made by Louis Padnos. He had a little artistic bent, so he used his scraps to build these little sculptures that are just to entertain people, not because they're so artistic. But the favorite one is the one that's coming up at this corner. It's a doghouse with Rusty on the top. And Rusty has very big teeth. You would not want to mess with Rusty. I think Rusty just got a new coat of paint. He's no longer Rusty. At this corner here, on the driver's side, you will see the police department and the courts. And now, as we turn, you'll see a carnival, which is only here for Tulip time, because normally that's a parking lot for our civic center, which is in renovation right now. And also, you can't see it very well, but there are canopies there, because we have a farmer's market every Wednesday and Saturday, and it is a very, very popular farmer's market with lots of flowers and vegetables and really nice farmer's market. Up ahead here, we're going past the VFW, which is the Veterans Association, and we're proud to say that we have 4 Medal of Honor winners. And you figure our city is only 33,000 people, and to have 4 Congressional Medal of Honor winners, we feel quite proud about that. Now, as Van Walty began this town, he realized that as we come upon this lake, Lake Makatawa, which is 7 miles long, there was a stream that led into Lake Michigan. Well, he was a visionary who also thought, way back then, this is the way people traveled, was by water. You brought your goods from here to there on a boat. And so he figured the way to do that was to dig a channel between those 2 lakes. And so he did that with other men, horses, and hand dug the channel, which has now been enlarged by quite a bit, because now it serves freighters that come in here. And you will see the big piles of limestone right here, which is used for streets and concrete and so on. So the town really took off because they could take the produce and the things that were lumber and the things that were being built here and bring it on a schooner to Chicago or other places around Lake Michigan, and it became a successful economy. The bleachers you see are for the parades for the Wednesday, Thursday, and Saturday parade. This is the prime spot to see the parade. We're going into